Let's do a little sneak peek at what Bill's doing in here. Why are you always in the way?
You just go to the trash button, dude.
Why are you always laying on Bill's floor? Huh? You're in the way. All right, so this car just rolled in from Powder Coat, and I've been watching you, and I see you have a system. Can you explain that system to the rest of our viewers?
The system is everything goes together in a certain order. I built it that way. It's got to go the same way every time, or as close to as possible. Starts out, comes in from Powder Coat. We start putting all the pans in, floor pans, electronics tray, fuel cell tray. We drill out and clean out Powder Coat from any of the holes that are threaded, so we tap those or drill out a hole, make everything ready for bolts. Get all the trays in, and then we pull the on-off cable that goes to the on-off switch that's not in this car yet. Cable goes through here, up to the chassis and out, and then we pull brake lines from here to the back, and at that point we'll put the master cylinders in, bend the brake lines, flare them, put the fittings on, and then flare them, preferably. And then get the brake lines done. At that point, we'll have the on-off switch on, charging one's on, move to that side of the car, pull the battery cable from where the battery goes in the front, back to the on-off switch, then back in the chassis, back to where the starter would be. That's in, and the crank trigger wire goes in. At that point, I move back to the front of the car, put the headlights on that go onto the arms. I wire all those, pull that wire with the battery cable. Get all that wire terminated, put the rack in. This car's set up for an air compressor, so I have a fitting here. At that point, I put the battery mount in, and leave the cables unterminated until one of the last things I do. Once everything in the car is wired, I terminate those, and at that point we'll test all the electronics.
So this card right here is done. This one next to you, this one is where you started from the front, so they can kind of see what you're talking about, right?
Right, this one needs the cables terminated. I have just a little bit more wiring on the back of the car to do, and this will get terminated and tested. Then at that point, once everything's tested, it's all good. At that point, we'll move back, and normally at that point, I'm ready for the rear suspension. This car is complete turnkey, so it's down on lower horses now. Wiring's done, basically. The engine transmission goes in after all the wiring. We'll get the engine transmission in, terminate all the wiring to it. This is ready to be plumbed. I've got all the closes and fittings here. We'll go ahead and terminate the rest of the wire, plumb everything back here, have this all done. Basically ready for the customer to start. We don't start, we wait for the customer to do that. And then the last step is put the rear end together, put it in, hang all the brakes, bleed the brake system. Every car bleeds, the brakes are bled. At that point, the initial setup is done on the suspension, put tires and wheels on it, set it on the ground. Then Travis comes in, we'll put a body in the seat and get everything at race weight and go ahead and do the rear end setup. Set the floor link, preloads, things like that, shock height. That's all Travis's stuff. I move on to another car, start putting it together.
As you can see, we have a couple of them in here. So that's a finished, this one's pre-finished, and then that one's starting at powder coat. But there is a million little tiny things on these chassis, Bill. So how do you make sure that you don't forget anything?
How I make sure I don't forget is I have a list, and I like lists.
Are you being sarcastic?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yes, yes.
We started out a couple of years ago with like 4 pages, and I keep coming up with stuff. Shelly comes up with stuff. Travis comes up with stuff. And we keep adding to the list. We even have a spot for check torque converter spacing, and we write down what the spacing is. Spot to make sure we bleed the brakes, so nothing gets missed. If something happens and I can't finish something, somebody can walk in with this list and know that they need to do this and this.
Perfect.
And all the parts are pulled this way. We have a box that we need the part, it's on order, or we have it. And the last box is that procedure is completed. So this went from like 4 pages to 12 or something.
Nice.
But every car has that. And then that goes in the file, so when the customer's ready for another car, we can go back and build them the same car again.
Well, you put together several cars with us now.
A few, just 2 or 3.
Yeah, has it been 3 years, 4 years?
2 years, 3 years, I don't know.
It's been a lot of
Time
years.
flies.
So as I've been watching you over the 3 years, I see that there's a specific procedure. Why do you do it like that? Why do you always follow the same system?
That way I know I don't miss anything. Everything's done the same way. I feel like if I do it out of order, I wake up in the middle of the night thinking I forgot something. So I like to do everything the same. And I think the quality is consistent that way. And if I have an issue, I can fix it. Rather than coming back, well, I'll put it on later because I'm missing something or something broke or whatever. And it just causes issues. I'd rather start from the front and go to the back as much as I possibly can. Try to do all the wiring together. There's certain things you can't do, but for the most part, every car is the same the way I do it.
Awesome. So that's one of the reasons why Travis says he never has to check on you, because he feels like everything's, he knows you cross your T's and dotted your I's, and you're a systems guy. So thank you for that.
You're welcome, and I appreciate that. And I even, as much as possible, take pictures of like weather pack connectors. So every car is wired the same. This is for a digital delay dial board, but every digital delay for the last year and a half, probably at least, if not longer, has these 4 wire colors in this order. So if your dial-in board was to fall off your car and break, or somebody hit it and you needed to borrow somebody's, if I did it, it's gonna plug in.
Nice.
Along with shifters and shifter solenoids and coils and mounts. It's all that is wired the same.
And they always make fun of me because I say, follow the system. But hey, that's why less mistakes that way, right?
Definitely less mistakes.
Nice. Well, thank you again, Bill. Hopefully this helped you guys figure out how we put all these beautiful rides together. Have help from this guy. Hey, wake up. So tired.